Hey, everybody. Welcome to the call. Appreciate you being here. Today, I'm joined with my brother, Taylor. He's my big little brother. Big because he's like 3 or 4 inches taller than me. I like to joke about that because I used to beat up on him real good. And now I wouldn't dare wrestle him if my life depended on it. And he tried to the other day, didn't you? You wanted to wrestle with me.
I said, "Do you want to wrestle like we used to?" And you said, "Hell no." And I said, "Yeah, we'd probably both have heart attacks."
Hey, you know what? I have been hiking. I started off with walking regularly since I got back on that vacation. I don't know if you all saw my email about going to Hawaii and coming back with a fire in my belly, but I've been doing these walks and I've been learning about breathing exercises. One, to fall asleep, which is amazing. It's falling asleep is so easy if you know how to breathe a certain way. I'm not going to get into that, but my trainer was also saying, "Hey, like you really want to work on nose breathing as you're doing your ascents or just your walks, your hikes, whatever." And so I'm like actually super stoked because the last 2 days I've hiked up the top of 10th Street right next to my house and then up the dirt trail and nose breathing the whole time, which, a couple months ago, even with working out over the last few years would have gassed me. But I think just I'm building up this walking muscle and my lungs are like expanding and I don't know, I'm training myself on how to breathe with my nose, which I think is making training in the gym in the garage a lot more enjoyable too, because I'm not gasping for air, or if I feel like I'm gasping for air, I can regulate. So anyway, breathing is good. Hiking is good. I'll just brag on myself for a second. I'm down, you guys, like
Go off, Queen.
pretty darn close to like 13, 14 pounds right now. Just in the last like 3 weeks or so. It's been since I got back on from vacation. I've been getting up early at 6 in the morning instead of sleeping in until 8:30. I've cut out Netflix. I am watching, I am watching the Mariners, right? I'm starting kind of like a baseball fan all of a sudden. So I'm watching those games on route. But yeah, otherwise, just kind of really leaning into discipline. I've been listening to some Jocko Willink, the Jocko podcast. If you haven't listened to that, you guys, like if you're feeling like, hey, I need to like discipline myself in business and personal life and relationships, whatever, like it's a decision. And I think that Jocko is just a good source of inspiration and truth in that department. I guess some people would consider him like the leading expert or one of the leading experts in the world on the topic of discipline. And he's a very successful guy, Navy SEAL type dude. So anyway, actually he's not a type of a Navy SEAL. He's Navy SEAL. He's super cool. And he's like has an addictive way of talking that makes me kind of want to sound and talk like him. Like I've noticed I have a friend that sounds just like Jocko Willink and he's a huge fan. And I'm like, you've been influenced for sure. But he also lives a great, successful, active life. So, and he's an ex-military guy. So
Do you ever listen to David Goggins?
I've heard that. I think I heard that name like today, actually, like or on a recent podcast from Jocko.
Very similar to Jocko, and I think they're friends. They've probably done a few podcasts together. But David Goggins, very similar guy, right? But his story was he used to be a fat tub of lard and working, and he talks big guy. He was like 300 plus pounds, working out as a pest control person, spraying for cockroaches. And then just one day said, "You know what? F this life. I'm changing." Went and became a Navy SEAL. Lost like 100 something pounds within like 2 months, or something crazy like that, just to be able to get into to the SEALs. Went through BUDS, or the boot camp for SEALs, 3 different times and finally passed it. And like, dude he's an ultra marathon runner now. So he does like 100-mile plus 200-mile plus races on just running. And he does it back to back sometimes. Like this guy, check him out, Grant. You'll like him. He puts out these awesome like little motivational like Instagram stories where he's like running in the desert, like 120-degree heat for like 20-30 miles, and just talking about how much of a lazy person you are for not getting up and stay hard. I listened to his book though, Can't Hurt Me. Great book. It tells this whole story about like growing up and abusive dad and just all the stuff against him, and how he mentally, and his whole thing is like you mentally can push your body past limits that you could never have imagined. Mm-hmm. Right. It's all about, shutting down the little inner voice that tells you can't, and just turning on that voice as it says go, and in his words, mother effer, like just keep going, right?
Yeah.
Really good book. I've listened to it like 3 times. Every time I get into like a weight loss or a workout like kick, I always listen to it while I do it. Super good. You should check it out. But very similar to Jocko. When you talk about Jocko, it makes me think about David Goggins.
Yeah, I'm pretty darn confident that he was mentioned in a recent podcast that I listened of Jocko. I think they talk about him sometimes. Is he African-American bald head guy? Okay, yep. I shared David Goggins' motivation in the chat. So if you guys want to go find that on Spotify or some other app. And then I also shared the Jocko podcast here in the chat. So you guys can go check those out if you want to like listen to some really cool stuff. Yeah. It's interesting, I think this is with any goal, right? Work, relationships, weight loss, working out, getting strong, everything, right? Business. Like it's so we tend to like try. I have this habit of doing this where it's like in the past, and I'm learning over time and with influence and mentorship, like you want to try to fix so much all at once. And you feel like if you don't fix it all at once, you're not going to fix anything at all. Here's what I can say. For 3 years straight, you guys, like I was super out of shape, like no muscle, like just the weight that I have been for a while, but not a lot of muscle mass in there. Other than just natural, because I am a big person. Natural healthy weight for me is probably 250 easy. Like that'd be like pretty shredded at 250. But anyway, the only thing I've really done for 3 years straight is I've worked out twice a week consistently with a trainer. I paid him to, show up and make sure that I show up. And of course I stayed committed to that. I had to do that one thing. And I remember I was just telling him a few weeks ago, like, man, it's crazy how for so long I thought, am I ever going to go all in on this? Am I ever going to be able to just feel like I can take the next step and really like start optimizing my body the way I want to and my mind and all this stuff. And there's things holding me back. And that's a long story I can talk about in more private conversations. There were some habits in my life that were just really holding me down. But then it's like over the last, I'll say as a religious person, as someone who believes in Jesus Christ and the Bible and God, right? Like, I made some decisions of obedience, right? That I've been convicted of, for a huge part of my life. And in those decisions of obedience, all of a sudden, like, I don't know, man, things are just clicking, right? Like I'm clicking, the discipline that I knew I was lacking in my life. I'm like excited to harness that power of discipline and see the fruits of that, and all that type of stuff. So anyway, all I can say, this is the point I'm making, is like, just do one thing, right? If there's something in your life where it's like, you're trying, I need to fix this area of my life. I'm sick of this thing and I want to fix it. Just find one thing, whatever's in your gut, like just focus on that one thing consistently. Maybe find a mentor, maybe find a coach, something like that. But ultimately, I feel like if you do something consistently in a certain direction, eventually you just kind of find the tracks and you start coasting. And it gets fun, right? Because like working out for me now, which is so weird, just in the last like couple months has become increasingly enjoyable, where for the previous 3 years, I hated it. I would have to spend an hour just psyching myself up for like, bro, you're going to show up, you're going to do this. It's going to suck. It's going to be painful. And you don't want to, like, you need to do it, even though you don't want to do it. And now it's kind of like, I can actually sit at my computer and work until about 15 minutes before that workout, run up, grab my stuff, and I'm not stressing out about it. And it's getting up early. It's going to bed early. It's drinking shit tons of water. It's getting up early, going on a walk immediately, or now, like a 1 hour hike up the mountain here. Not a mountain. It's like a nice hill. But it's a dirt hill. Coming home, listening to podcasts, listening to Jocko, listening to Christopher Grant, Clear the Shelf podcast. That's another one. I've been listening to some Amazon related podcasts, and then getting home and eating food early, right? Eating lots of protein. I've been putting protein in my body, which helps me, stave off hunger longer. We do got to get into it. So anyway, obviously I'm a little jazzed up about it, but yeah, we are 12 minutes in, and guys, we are going to jump right into a handful of leads that we had our quality control team set off to the side. was a quick shift of the gears, right? Back into Amazon. And so they set these leads off to the side. They have not been delivered to OA Cheddar before. They were not delivered to OA Cheddar this week. So if they are ever delivered, just so you guys know kind of the context of these leads and what to think of them, if they are ever to be delivered as an OA Cheddar lead, it'll be within 60 days from the date of this recording. Okay. And today is June 14th, 2023. Okay. So what I would say is if you're watching this on, today or even on YouTube, after this recording is published to YouTube, probably not the best idea to go jumping on these leads unless it's been, I don't know, you can review it, make your own decision. I don't know. I mean, we may only get 4 views, on YouTube on this video and it won't even matter. So, but if we get 4,000, which is probably not likely quite yet, but if we did, maybe don't go buy these leads. I wouldn't say they're actionable, but the goal here is to just share our thoughts. See if you guys like this type of content. As I said in my email a couple of weeks ago, I've been studying and learning and practicing and putting in the reps of doing the Amazon business sourcing type of stuff and rabbit trailing and the stuff that I've just kind of not been able to focus on for quite a few years with building, OA Cheddar and a brand that is no longer in business. But I'm excited about selling on Amazon again. And I'm excited about what I've been learning. And so I don't think I'm going to, revolutionize the way that you think about online arbitrage leads today, but I am going to share my thoughts, and then Taylor might jump in, share his thoughts. And we have 8. So we're going to try to get through them. We may find that that's way too many leads to accomplish or to go through in 40 minutes to an hour anyway. So Taylor, what do you think before I jump in?
Before we dive in and start doing the leads, I want to speak to what we were kind of just talking about before with your workouts and things like that, and lining that up with what you've been doing recently. Like you came to me, I want to say about 3-4 weeks ago, and it was after your vacation, and you said, "Hey, look, I'm going to come back in and I'm going to be an Amazon expert. I'm going to go back in and start being a student. And I'm seeing these guys and what they're doing. I'm going to start learning from these guys. I want to just completely immerse myself back into the OA space and up my knowledge." And I was talking to a good friend who's also a seller earlier this week. And they were expressing to me, hey, Amazon's kind of changing. The way I've been doing stuff isn't working the way it used to. And I was telling them, hey, this is what Grant's doing. I think this is the season where you as an operator need to up your knowledge, right? Recession is happening, whatever you guys want to call it. The economy's in the tanker. Amazon's making some changes, right? And before we were living in a really plentiful, great harvest time, right? And now we're seeing ourselves in something very similar, possibly to what was happening in like 08, 09 with the economy. And now is the best time to start taking those little steps, right? Absorbing content, learning how to, changing the way you do things in your business, trying something new, learning a new strategy, all those things. I think people who are starting to do that now and who will continue to do it will be rewarded for that down the road. And for those who are just going to keep coasting, I don't think they're going to be nearly as happy at the end of the journey. And it all comes back down to, this business is always changing. There's always something to learn. Okay. If it's not about OA, it might be something that is, similar or, connected to Amazon, but maybe a different strategy, all those types of good things. And it's important to never stop learning. And so I just want to applaud you for that, because that is kind of a hard thing to do. You've been a business owner, essentially were able to step away from your FBA business and it was operating and everything was going good. You didn't have to put so much input into it, but now you're like, what? I want to grow this thing. Okay. I want to build up I want to build to the store that I knew it could be, right? I'm taking myself off of coast and I'm getting into it. And so I just want to applaud you for that. And I want to encourage anybody who's listening to this to also be putting yourself in that same type of mindset, right? Don't coast. If don't get too laid back and, put your feet. There's always seasons for that. Yes. But we might be going into a season where you might want to be hands-on involved, understanding what's going on with Amazon, what's going on in your business, what's going on with your team, and looking for ways to improve it, to increase profitability, to increase productivity, all that good stuff. So I just wanted to say that before we jumped in. I kind of derail this a little bit, but Grant, we have some leads that we're going to go through. Do you want to go ahead and share your screen and we can just dive right into this?
Cool.
And while Grant's pulling up this screen, guys, we asked our quality control, hey, we want we want a couple of really good leads. We want some leads that are not so good, or good, but not like the best. And then we want some leads that we would actually normally reject and not share to a list. So they're not marked. They're all marked as top shelf. And as we dig into this, we're going to, start to identify which ones are the good ones, which ones maybe might not be so great, all that good stuff. So, all right, Grant, you take it from here.
Cool. So I'm in here in Cheddar Soft. This is the demo list. There's 8 leads to try to go through, and I'm just going to kind of start wrapping and see what happens. I've looked at a couple of these and thought, oh, there's some good ones in here that we'd probably buy if we weren't sharing them with possibly a very large audience. So let's go back real quick. Oops, I need to get these out of here. That is in the way. That was a mistake. Here we go. All right, $16.99 buy cost. Buying 3, free shipping, $50, 50% off code June 2023. Okay, so $16. So the first thing I'm going to do when I review a lead is go straight to the Amazon listing and put in the buy cost. I'm going to just use RevSeller right now. I've got both calculators on. Didn't really optimize my system before I did this. So yeah, I like the ROI, like first glance. Okay, and then I see like the rank is kind of high. So going to take a look at Keepa. The next question I would have is, are there variations? Which it does not appear there are. And I can see, which, kind of allows me to use the BSR as kind of a clue as to sales velocity. It's not the end all be all. Like right in here, I would assume this is far more sales than if I were to count the spikes. Or the drops. There's probably far more sales than what I'm seeing here, just because of how quickly it's moving. It looks like it's selling well now because it's warming up, right? And this is a charbroil product. So we can go back and look at the last year. Okay. Like I said, it seems to be kind of speeding up a little tiny bit. This is not a very fast mover. Offer count movement's not super great, but it is moving. And again, no variation. So I can kind of use the BSR. The next thing I would probably look at is offers. Get rid of the used, look at historical. We're looking at 90 days. We can look at 30 days. It says 42. I would say that these drops look pretty organic to me, right? There's not some weird anomalies where it's going from, 13 to 1 and then back up to 10 and, or back up to 13 and then down, so all of that looks pretty realistic to me. So I would say, like, for the most part, coming from 6 to 4, that's weird. That's kind of more recent. 5 directly down to 4 and then to 2. That could be because the inventory got checked in and it's being moved from one fulfillment center to another. Or it can mean sales, right? We don't really know. Again, offer counts, movement for on Keepa is really just another clue as to velocity. It's not the end all be all. So I kind of like what I'm seeing there. Everything's prime. I like the price points. I can go check buy box statistics. 30 days is what we're looking at. And it looks like there's a pretty good spread. This seller seems to be getting most of the buy box, which might make sense due to the fact that they are 97%. And have 1,700 reviews. I have a lot more than 1,700, and I have a 99%. So that could give me a competitive advantage for the buy box rotation. Okay, so then the question. Go ahead, Taylor.
Real quick, if you want to go back to data and the buy box statistics, I'm glad you're showing this, because what you just did is you evaluated the competition, right, and compare it to your own account. And we all know that if you have a high number of review counts as a seller and your rating percentage is, high, anything above 97%, right? Anything below that, I would actually say your rating is low. That you can come in with the number of reviews that you have on your account and you could be the dominant seller on this listing. And so when you guys are looking at Amazon, listings, now granted, if it's something that's coming off the list, you don't know who the next offers are going to be. But if you're rabbit trailing and you find a lead, and you look at the competition and hey, I got more reviews, I have a better, customer satisfaction rating. That can help clue you in on, hey, I might be able to come in here and be more of a dominant seller on this listing compared to the competition. And maybe that will change the number of units that you purchase for your test buy, or if you want to replenish and how many units you might want to go deep on.
Correct. Another thing too that I've been learning is important to look at, and I'm still trying to kind of wrap my head around, the concept, but I think I'm understanding it, is just kind of like the first time that a seller has been seen on a listing. And depending on what you're looking at, like the longer of a history they have on a listing could indicate that that's how long they've been profitably replenishing that item over and over and over again and selling it on Amazon for a profit, assuming all the other data looks good too, like the selling prices and stuff like that. So anyway, there are just a lot of cool things inside of Keepa, as we know. I think in most cases, I will tell you that, especially if I'm looking at variations and stuff, I'll go into the variation viewer. But in most cases, I'm probably not looking at this. Like, to me, there is enough information here. I still might, now that I am getting into the habit of looking at offer count movement and buy box statistics, I might take a quick peek. But I probably wouldn't overanalyze it on a lead like this, just because there's enough information, in my opinion, here, being that this is not a variation listing, that I can kind of gauge the velocity. But, if I'm looking at the 1 month, again, if we were to count these spikes, there's probably about 40 actually, BSR drops. And the offer count ticker is kind of giving us a relatively similar number. So I could beat this to death and go, okay, well, how many competitive sellers are there? Blah, 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 blah. How many of them are prime? I probably am not going to do that, because in most cases, we're not going to buy more than 10 of anything unless it's something that we've bought on a regular basis. And we just keep on buying it. So, Taylor, I'll ask you, because you're the one that's usually making, like, you're going through our leads every day and creating the buy list and telling Charles how many to order of everything. I have a number in my mind, but like, what's the number of units you would probably order, assuming this is a perfect match? Which, by the way, there's one other detail on here. There is a model number before I get to that, Taylor. Command F. Model number is a match, so that is a plus in determining that this is a match. The other thing I would do, which I won't waste time on this call, because I just don't think it's relevant, and if I learn differently, I will in the future, actually add to cart, go in and enter in the coupon code and make sure I can get the buy cost that was recorded in the list. So yeah, go ahead, Taylor.
So on this listing, the one thing I see on it is the consistency in the selling price over the span of a year. True. And if you went and looked at the all-time, I'd be curious to see what that selling price. So relatively consistent. I mean, maybe in the very beginning it was a little lower, but I'm seeing it around that $34 mark or higher, which I believe 34 would still keep us profitable. This would be an item that I would do a test buy on, and we would purchase, like Grant said, we wouldn't purchase more of 10 of something. And I'd purchase, maybe 5 to 10 on this item. See what happens with it. Okay. If I send them in, I sell out, fairly quickly. Okay. Well, then I'm going to go and try to replenish this next time I have a chance. Put a tag on it, because with that price, the price being consistent like that, it's okay. It might not be selling hundreds of times a month, right? But is it something I could buy 10 of every month and sell 10 out of, right? And if the answer to that is yes, then great. And maybe do I want to buy 20 and stock myself for maybe 2 months? Right. Or if I might jump in on this listing and realize, okay, I'm taking over the buy box, 40, 50% of the time. I'm cranking out 20 units a month on this. So do a test buy. If it checks out, the thing I like about this lead is that the price has been consistent in its history. Right. Yep. And it's something, even, if I were to go pay, without a deal, $20 for this item, granted, I'm not sure what I need for free shipping or anything like that, but $20 on this item could also be another replenishable opportunity. Can you check what the profitability would be like? I mean, it's a low ROI, right? But it's still making $5, right? And if it's something that's, selling, 20 times a month, and that's what you find out after your test buy, it's $100 profit that you can make off this one SKU, as if the test buy, everything checks out, right? I would never go 20, 30 deep on this or go crazy with it unless I've had the inventory. I also noticed weight isn't too bad. It's like about 3 pounds, and then dimensions 15 by 14. It's not too bad. Right. It's pretty thin. You can probably stack a bunch of these in a box.
I mean, it's obviously made out of metal of some kind. So I didn't really consider that. I don't like heavy things personally, but I mean, it's 15 by 14. It weighs 3 pounds. I don't know. So you have to consider all of those things. You know, if you're using a prep center, small oversized, they might have additional fees that you would need to take into account. The nice thing about this too is if you are going to replenish it, and then we'll move on to the next lead. Last thought is, you know, this isn't the first lead that Cheddar has found with Charboil. So if you're buying Cheddar leads or you're buying leads from other providers, you know, and you're banking all of your data inside of CheddarSoft, and Charboil is having another promotion, a sale, you know, site wide or whatever it might be, then you can run through your leads for this brand, Charbroil, and make sure that you know, you pick up any items that you might want to replenish when there is a discount opportunity. So, all right, moving on. This is one that I did look at earlier. So Super Mud, it's actually coming from the brand site. I will say, I think I'll just make this a caveat, like a lot of cases with IP claims, you're buying from the brand site. Like, it's frustrating, but if you're buying it from Walmart, for example, or Target, I would say you have a less likelihood of receiving a claim of some kind, because that brand is actively selling to other distributors and maybe not policing what's happening on other platforms as much. But if you're only buying it from the brand site, you know, take a close look at the Amazon listings. It could be a risk. We have oftentimes taken the risk and made great money on listings that come from the brand site, where even the brand is the seller on the listing, and it runs for a period of time, and then eventually we pop a couple IP claims and we have to, you know, go and reach out for retractions. Right now I'm a little gun shy. I'll be straight up. Like, we've got some IPs that are putting our account at risk right now, which sucks. And so we're working through those. We have Jeffrey Schick, jeffreyschick.com, I believe, working through our stuff as always, and getting some of that cleared out. But when I looked at this one, I thought this is cool because, you know, rank is good, right? That's the first thing I noticed. We can make sure it's a match here in a second, but rank is decent. The other thing I noticed too was just, you know, great velocity, and also just really, really nice offer count movement right there. And it doesn't look like what I'm looking for here. That would be extremely alarming to me is like large drops, like coming from 33 offer counts down to like 15 offers. That would, seeing those immediate flat line cliffs in the offer count on Keepa can be an indicator that that brand at random, not even random, but at certain seasons will come in and file IP claims against the sellers on that listing. And so I'm not seeing that here. So it looks relatively safe right now. But it's probably only a matter of time before some lawyer convinces this brand that their products are not being well represented on Amazon, because people are buying it directly from their website, perfectly authentic, and then reselling it on Amazon. And so just be aware of that. It's a risk.
You know, it won't be a lawyer. It'll be some guy in his, you know, spare room saying, "Hey, look, I'm a Amazon brand management expert, and sign up with me, pay me $6,000 a month, and I'll manage your listing." That's the reality.
I'll get all these evil sellers off your listing, and then make it your problem to make sure that your inventory gets sold on Amazon. All while they're appreciating all the sales and going, "Man, this is great. We're selling all this product off our website." And it's because, hey, right?
Right.
Whatever. So we can go ahead.
I want to speak to that real quick though, about what we're talking about with IP complaints, and what like we sold on listings where brand was also the seller, and we made good money off of that. And the reality is this: a lot of brands don't know how to manage Amazon, right? They don't want to. They don't want to. They're too. There's a whole reason why there's a brand management industry, and there's courses to teach you how to do that, and go out to these brands and say, "Hey, look, you need help on Amazon." It's because these brands are focused on so much more, right? They have their own website, they have their own marketing for social, you know, for different socials. They have, you know, retail partners, whatever it may be, right? And Grant, you can speak. You know, you had your own brand for a while, and there was a lot to focus on other than what was happening on Amazon. And so then you got to add on, okay, we got to get, you know, brand registry. Then we got to enforce, you know, IP complaints, and we can only send so many IP complaints, or, you know, at a time, you know, or retract so many, you know, and it's just a lot of work. And so a lot of brands don't know what to do. Right. And then they go to their lawyer that handles everything in the business. And the lawyer says, well, we're going to send out a cease and desist letter. for those 5 units that guy has for the
You know
lost
what I
deals.
think happens?
Hmm.
What I think happens more cases than not is the brand actually doesn't really mind it. They're not too
Mhm.
worried about it because they know where the sales are coming from or where the
Mhm.
inventory is coming from. It's these agencies, just like brand management agencies, these
Mhm.
lawyer agencies that are hunting down brands like this and cold calling them and saying and creating this story about how dangerous this is for their customer base when it's not. Because if it was dangerous for their customer base, it wouldn't be 4.5-star rating,
Right.
right? It would be like a 2.5-star or a 3-star. But they create this whole story about it's being dangerous for brands, and it's not in a lot of cases. Now I get it. Like, yes, is there risk in brands letting resellers just go crazy on Amazon? It's yes, there's a level of, I suppose, risk or danger for their brand reputation. I don't know. I just don't think so. Honestly, I would have loved having somebody buy the crap out of my stuff off of my website when I was a brand owner and pumping it into Amazon, and just continuing and coming back and buying, dozens and
Right.
dozens and dozens of inventory, hundreds of items from my store. It would have made me a lot of money. So, I don't know, from that perspective, I'm kind of like, gosh, why do people but again, you get a lawyer who calls you and says, "Oh boy, let me tell you the one time something really bad happened, and it's going to happen to
Right.
you if you don't hire me for thousands of dollars to hunt these people down and try to take them out of business." I don't know. I think everybody can kind of relate with, especially if you're an online arbitrage or a retail arbitrage seller on this call. You're probably going, "Yeah, Grant, go get them," which maybe we should. How do we go get them? Let's go take these guys down. Anyway,
If you agree with that, can you put "go get them" in the chat, please?
go get them.
Go get them. Go get
Let's
them,
create
Grant.
the anti IP, organization. Start cold calling brands and being like, actually, you've been lied to. I don't know if you realize this, but anyway, whatever. So, point is, let's kind of trudge along. Taylor, I don't know if you had more to say, but
I just the fast selling lead. Okay, lots of movement, lots of velocity. The price looks good. You can be competitive with it, and I mean it's been on Amazon for quite some time. Tons of people have been selling it. No obvious signs of any IP risk there. Seems like a really good lead. Of course, we want to double check like as much as we can to make sure it's a match. Because I do notice up there in the title, it's like, oh, limited edition. But if you go zoom in on the product and go through everything, and to save some time, we have done, we went through these leads and took a look at them. And I looked at this one pretty closely, and everything seemed to be a match. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Again, test purchase. You're right. If this is the first time you've ever ordered this product or this lead or from this brand, don't go crazy and try to order 20, 30 of these, right? Buy 4, right? Buy 4. And then if everything checks out and it works out great, put a tag on it inside of Cheddar Soft, and then go back and replan that bad boy when there's the next sale with confidence, right?
I'm going to put us on the spot here and see if the promo gets our buy cost as we hoped. I have a feeling that that this wasn't carefully, that somehow this buy cost is based off of a lower volume. So that'll be sad. Yep. I'm going to guess that we're looking at one of these. 20% off of that, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not really sure how, because it says buy one, pick one free at 20% off code and choose Super Mud for complimentary free at checkout. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Well, I don't know if I should do that on this call, but maybe. Yeah, buy one, pick one. So get out of here. Let's see if I can go to checkout. Let's just see what happens. Oh, wait, I think it might say something about select. Yeah, there it is. $30 value. Continue to check out. So yeah, you can only buy 2. So we need to clear this out of my cart, this extra unit. I don't think you can buy 4 because you're only going to get 1 free unit. So literally is like buy 1, get 1 free, and then 20% off. So anyway, I'm not going to tinker with that anymore on this call. Cool. All right, moving on. World of Outlaws. I think this one will be relatively easy. 1999. I think this is a BOGO. Buy one, get one half off. Okay, buy two, get one free game. Okay, $29.99. So we'll assume that works. It's probably been tested. 1999. Kind of gravitating to Rev Seller for whatever reason today. Okay, decent, high rank for video games. Very high rank for video games. ESR, doesn't look crazy bad, but not crazy good either. Offer count movements, really not much of anything. Review count, which can also be an indicator of sales velocity, 182 to 191. So that's a good sign. Kind of almost surprises me for the.
So I've noticed this with video games.
Like
I feel like the ranks in video games has grown. The category maybe has grown, because I agree with you. Like a couple of years, 3 years ago, 12,000 rank in video game would have been crawling. But you see from the sales rank data, and this isn't a variation listing, like there are sales happening here, right? There's something happening.
There is.
I'm curious about that. Again, test buy everything, guys.
I think it comes down to test buys. I mean, this 716 to 671, that's not a good indicator of sales. These drops right here might be somewhat of an indicator of sales. 4, 3, 2, that might be a good indicator of sales. And I'm just looking at new offers, including historical in the last 30 days. So this 63 number, I don't believe that one bit, but it's odd that even if I exclude this massive drop out of the equation, that would definitely like narrow down the sales down to probably like 10 or something, 15. But it's, again, and I know that BSR does not mean sales. BSR drops do not mean sales, but that BSR does look pretty good. So someone's going to have to, I guess in this case, I would need someone to help educate me on like, and again, Keepa is not a perfect tool. None of these tools are perfect, but I don't really get super excited about what I see here. But then when I'm looking at the Keepa graph, I'm like, well, BSR, drops look pretty volatile. They look like they're moving around. And then I look at the review count of 182 to 191. And I've heard the argument that every review is worth 100 sales, theoretically, right? That at one out of every 100 people who buy something on Amazon is actually going to review it. Well, that's crazy, because then you're looking at review counts at 182 to 191, and you're talking about several hundred sales. Like that can't be right. So there's a lot of conflicting things on this listing, and maybe there's a clue on here that I just can't see.
Isn't the review? I could have sworn the review was for every 10 sales, there might be one review, right? Or maybe for every 20, every 100.
So, I mean, Taylor, how many reviews have you left on Amazon compared to the amount of things that you've bought?
I've left 0 reviews on Amazon because I'm not.
I have left 1, and that was for a PL friend of mine.
Yeah.
So yep. I don't think, and I'm sure most people, and that'd be a question for you guys. How many of you actually can to some regular level leave reviews on Amazon, and how, and put that in the chat.
Yes, does sales rank dictate exactly how many sales a product sells? No, right? Sales rank is a mix of a whole bunch of things, and there is a reason for movement. But when I look at that the sales rank movement on this, is I'm not seeing these little tiny drops that gradually go up over time, right? I'm seeing straight drops, every once in a while, a straight drop. And that to me is indicative of sales. And, over the years, that seems to be a true thing. If you see this type of stuff in a graph as far as sales rank, and if you bought it, you're going to end up selling it. Again, test buy everything. This is a target lead. You're going to be able to get 3 of these to do the deal, right? Could you sell 3 of those within a 30-day, 2-month period time? Yes. Right. I think there's enough evidence here that shows like this is selling, right? It's just a question of how often, how fast does it sell? If you buy 3, you send in 3, and you sell it within a week and a half. Well, now you know that you might be able to go deeper, like 6 or 9, and maybe get a whole 30 days with. If you
Right.
buy 3 and it takes over a month to sell all 3, now you know with confidence that, hey, this lead is slower moving than one would assume by looking at the Keepa data. And again, utilize a tagging system inside of Cheddar Soft, slow but profitable, right? That could be a lead or a tag that you put on leads. And that way, like, hey, if I ever want to go back, maybe I'll get some slower selling stuff, but I'm making profit on it. You can do so. Yep, right in Cheddar Soft, you just hit add tag. You can create your own tag and add it. You can even change the color if you want to. Hit the little check icon, and you're good to go. You see that shows up right there.
So, yeah, and the other thing I would point out real quick too, that's just always fun, in case you didn't know it, Target has UPC codes. Grab the UPC, run that against Target. That's always a little confirmation that you have an exact match. Doesn't mean that UPC code is, has to be. Usually it's images and title and making sure that it's not a multi-pack, stuff like that. But whenever like model number and UPC or EIN or ISBN for media can be referenced, it's always good to know that it's an exact match. Cool. Good advice, Taylor. Test buy. That is the goal. Walgreens. Everybody loves them. Walgreens. Old Spice.
Oh, I like this lead. This is gonna be interesting. I want to hear what your thoughts are on this because yeah, I want to get what your thoughts are.
$11.20 is the buy cost. Okay, the profit about 46%. Looks like it's on it's on sale, so 20% off. 20% off a $60 code. So buying 2 would be how it works out. Excuse me, pack of 2, buying 12. So that would be 6 packs of 2. So $11.20. Let's go to Amazon. Which, by the way, guys, I'm pretty sure in my settings, I have 50% off for the ship to FBA. I've heard a lot of sellers talking about it being more like 30 cents lately, or at least currently. It probably is actually. I think 50% is based off of shipping out of Wenatchee. 50
yeah,
cents.
we've always done 50 cents because of where we're located, Washington State, and then kind of in the middle of the state.
So it probably is, to be fair,
a decent drive to any city.
Yep. Cool. So actually, we might want to talk to our team about that and change it to 30 cents, because that seems to be kind of the rule of thumb these days. Although it does give us a little bit of it forces our team to be a little bit more profitable.
Let's keep it. So I say let's keep it to 50 and keep and always and if the customer ends up getting their lead and they realize, hey, this is more profitable because it's I don't pay that much in shipping, then great.
Yep.
But
all right, so pack of 2, 28,000 health and beauty and personal care. That's a low rank fast seller, in my opinion, without looking at it. Now we're seeing that it's absolutely pinning out for some reason. Why is that? That's interesting. Okay, it's done that before. Could it be like that it's seasonal? That doesn't see. Well, I like January around here, man. This is something I'd almost want to like. Boy, if I was looking at this in like October, I'd be like, I'm buying that and I'm sitting on it. Because I can take it from 22 to 25. Well, that's not too crazy, but this one's a little more exciting, if I was profitable at 15. But anyway, okay, back to why do you think that's how? Okay, wow, look at the offer count movement, man. This is on people's radar right now. Has that happened before? Ooh, okay. So that's the first thing I don't like is that offer count is now the highest it's ever been. Makes me wonder if possibly there are sellers running ads, and that is what's lowering the BSR and making this sell so much faster. That would be curious, because it's been in stock for a while, even at a lower price. So, boy, that's interesting. Okay, the highest offer count I can see ever before is 16, and that didn't really fare well with a $16 buy cost. The first thing I'm thinking is there's a really high. Again, this is something I would want to see as an OA seller and have in my database one way or the other. I might be willing to take the risk just at first glance. I might be able to take the risk and buy a few of these to test them out and hope that the selling price doesn't go down significantly. I think the only protection that I see out in here that may result in that may prevent a price tank is the fact that the sales velocity has picked up a ton. Now, is this a variation? No, it's not. So it's not like it's been, married up to a parent listing and other variations that would create this velocity change. That's curious. It's very interesting.
I think that this is, and real quick, I want to acknowledge a comment that we have in the chat that this was shared on a lead list recently. This lead, I think that might be a different lead list that we may be talking about, because I have no records of this ASIN ever being shared in our system. Yes,
I think
perfect. Not chireless. You freaked me out there, Stacy. You scared me. I was like, I looked at this before. What are you talking? Anyway, sorry, Grant, I didn't mean to interrupt.
that's all good.
But what I was actually going to say, I this feels to me like there may be like this may be discontinued or out of stock, or something is driving customers to this, some sort of demand. Now, here's the kicker on this. Notice the difference in the bottle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, with Walgreens, you do get a UPC code. It's down usually at the bottom. And the thing with the Walgreens UPC codes is they kick out the last number, right? They don't show you the last number in the code, but there is a difference between these two. And that is not abnormal when you're talking about a 2-pack listing or a multi-pack listing. And what's on Amazon is a value pack, right? We've seen them before, 2 bottles with a little bit of cardboard around, shrink wrapped together, and they get sold together, usually have their own UPC because of that variation, right? Now, if you go to, if I'm not mistaken, if you go to the third image on Amazon.
One second, I'm just for the sake of seeing if this product is available anywhere in this packaging, I'm going to see if Google image search brings anything up. Is this one you're talking about right here, the third image?
No, I'm mistaken. I believe that there was and if I remember correctly, I was looking at this last night. There was an image of the UPC. Maybe it was on the Walgreens website. Oh, you know what it was? I searched this up, and I think I found a Walmart listing for it for that 2-pack variation. It was out of stock. But the UPC that was on the Walmart one matched up to what this listing was.
Yeah, I see Walmart. Check availability nearby. So here's the actual. This is a match. I could see, so not available at any of the stores close to me. Yeah, that's interesting. So there's a risk. I mean, to me, I get the feeling, and that'd be really something that to look into, really dig in and go, okay, are people finding this at Walgreens? I would like to ask the person who mentioned that this was shared to a lead. Was it also shared? You don't have to tell us what the source was, but I'd be curious if this was the source listing that you saw on another list. And that provider is also suggesting that if you are to take the risk of doing so, that you pack these up by polybag. And, because the one thing, again, this is where OA gets a little gray, it gets a little gray hat, is you're getting the product to the customer, 16 fluid ounces of body wash.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they're expecting. Fiji, 32 ounces total, 2 16 ounce. So you're going to get them the product that they're expecting. It's just not going to come in the packaging that they were expecting. I love how they have this little thing. So it's like, hey, which I hate that people do, but if you're in the store, you pop the lid and sniff it, and then I think that's foul. That
get a little dab and go to the bathroom and freshen up a little bit. You never done that before?
Man. Yeah.
Times were hard before Amazon, Grant.
It's just weird. Just weird to open up things and sniff them in the store. When I see people doing that, I'm like, oh.
So here are my thoughts on this listing. I think that what you're looking at, obviously old packaging on the Amazon listing, new updated packaging on Walgreens. And the question that I would ask myself, and again, everyone, your risk tolerance as far as what you source and what you sell is your own. Okay. If you're a newer seller, you should be a little bit more cautious about what you're pushing and selling. But if you have some time on your hand, underneath your belt, and you have good reviews and you have systems and processes to address, voice the customer issues or whatever it may be, you may look at this and go, well, I'm not too worried because I know that the end customer, when they get their box from Amazon, they open it up, they're getting what they thought they would. It might not look exactly the same, but it's still a Fiji wash, same size, same dimensions, everything, all that is good. And then one thing I did just kind of put myself at ease with this, because when I looked at this listing last night, I thought, okay, what if they change the formula? Right? Did they change something about this body wash? And is that why the price history or the keep a graph is going crazy? Because the old formula is the desired one and it's no longer going to be made. So just like when anything goes, stops being produced, it gets more desirable. People are willing to pay more money for it.
Right.
So I Google searched Old Spice Fiji body wash formula change. Okay. And we don't have to go through all that just to save time. And I couldn't find any news articles or anything that obvious, at least, that they changed the formula, right? But they do have a new look. And so, with a lead like this, again, test buying is always good. And make sure you're protecting yourself and always monitoring your voice of the customer and making sure that customers are happy with this. But this is something I would take action on. And then the other thing I did too is I looked at the reviews to see, hey, is anyone complaining about not getting what's in the image? And I found one review that was negative, and it was about a guy who used to use the foam soap and now he's using the gel, and it was cold to his touch right there. I think it was. Yes. The second one, this product was not what I was using before. It was very cold to the touch. And I remember just giggling to myself, like, what, the little soap that you're putting in your hand is cold to the touch, and
the shower you're standing in is cold, because that's what it is.
And then they mentioned like, oh, but I used to use the Old Spice foam. So it's like, well, brother, you just did this listing dirty. You gave it a 2-star review because you didn't think it was the same as the foam. But scrolling through, and then of course I'm doing this quickly, but there wasn't anything that stuck out to me as like, hey, customers are getting the wrong product, right? And they're getting upset by it. Now, if I saw that, I'd be a little more cautious. I may not sell on this listing, right? If I saw customer complaints or Q&A that are like, hey, why is this bottle different? But I don't. Going through this with a fine-tooth comb, it has the palm tree oil. It's the right scent. Brands update their packaging all the time. Amazon sellers don't update images all the time.
Yep.
So you run into this
your own
quite
choice
a bit
on this one.
Yep.
You got to make your own choice. You decide what the risk is. So cool. All right. Well, yeah, I think it's a product match. I think the contents inside the container are a match. I feel like my computer's kind of slowing down a little bit, but the anomaly with BSR going way down, still maybe some research would be an indicator of why that's happening. It could, like I said, I think that maybe it's the amount of sellers that are on this. They're probably running ads. One of the things that I noticed in the buy box statistics is it does appear that they're probably wholesalers on this listing, and we could go look at their offers and see how many units they have. But these large sellers with the 5-digit review count, most likely they're buying volume or they're buying liquidation. I would very much consider that. Doesn't mean that you can't, get buy box rotation along with them, but they have a lot of volume, and they may be willing to drop the price if that's the direction it's going to go. And then you're going to be waiting a very long time, possibly, assuming they have a lot of units. Some of these sellers I'm looking at, so these we can even do this real quick. So we don't have that. We got 90-day. Let's just go to 30-day review count. Oh crap! I want the high ones. Okay, so you can see some pretty, nothing crazy. Not a ton of volume on there. 90, and then it goes down. This guy's running at 55. So there's some, okay, look at that. Now, I don't know if that's realistic. It could be a total flaw in Keepa's data and, system analytics or whatever, but that's some high stock level possibly there. So anyway, all things to consider. Let's move on. Are you guys learning anything, or is this like good refresher?
Yes.
Yeah.
Please hit yes, and please type yes in the chat if you're learning some stuff, you guys are enjoying us going through these leads. I want to point out too, Stacy did let us know, yes, it was on a different cheddar list, and it was a Walgreens was the source that was shared. Makes sense why you're seeing that spike happen This may have been shared a couple of days previously or maybe a week previously, and you're starting to see that initial list hit happen to this listing. So, again, tag it, review it. A listing like that, with seeing that most recent spike in offers, probably throw a tag on there to review at a later date. Go back in and see what happens in 2 weeks from now. If the sales rate continues to drop like it is and is sitting low, those, and we know that, the people are buying it from Walgreens, so they can only buy 6 2-packs at a time. And maybe they can get off 2, 3, 4 orders, maybe, because Walgreens can be a little tricky and they will cancel after so many of the repeat buys. All those things considered, you may decide, hey, I might want to jump in on this listing in 2 weeks from now. Right. So.
Cool. Yeah. Let's move on to this next guy here. EO soaps, 8 fluid ounces per bottle. It's a 3-pack. It appears we're looking at the same thing. French lavender, lavender and argan. Okay. So that's a little risque. I don't know how much I'd get excited about this one. Just knowing that I don't know for sure if this one has the same contents in the bottle. That would be a little bit of a deterrent for me. Because as a customer, again, we're looking at it from their perspective. It's body oil. Let's make sure we're looking at body oil, because body oil, this one says French lavender. This one says lavender and argan. It's very likely, very possible this one also has argan, but I can't see that on the image. Quench, drench, and glow, moisture, massage, French lavender. Nothing about argan. Command F, argan. I think it's arg. Okay, where's that at? Where's that highlighting on my page? I don't see it. Is it ARG? Yeah, ARGAN.
I'm not seeing it either.
Yeah, it says that it's on this page somewhere, but it's definitely not in the product description. It is not in the bullets and not in the title or the image of the product. So I'm out.
And Grant, we can speak to this because we used to buy a ton of EO stuff when we were doing retail arbitrage, like a ton. And they have tons of different variations and flavors, right? So it's totally plausible that there's a lavender argan and just a straight French lavender, right?
Very much. Yeah.
So and TJ Maxx, Marshalls, fantastic sources, terrible at giving you product details, right? Which makes sense for what type of business they are. They're just taking a picture, basic little, description of the set. So you do want to make sure you're always trying to match it up perfectly. I bet you could have maybe done a little bit of deep diving to see if there was ever a product change as far as the packaging and the bottle, because it does look like the older EO label on Amazon. But if you're moving quickly, that was enough there to not want to, I would say don't buy that.
Yeah, I think, again, this is why I think it's so important. I mean, I know that like data costs money. And I've said this before, if you're debating whether, you buy leads from leadless providers or from, virtual assistants, I could sit here and rap for an hour on why you should buy it from leadless providers. It's so much cheaper per lead. And I think it's also important to pick the right leadless provider. Okay. Here's the thing. And I'm just going to say this real quick too. Like, I'm going to kind of go on a rant. There's so much fraud inside of the online arbitrage lead list or lead generation industry. When going and hiring virtual assistants at 10 cents on the dollar, American dollar, was new to our industry, it was a relatively safe place to play. But it's become increasingly popular and commonplace, and I think there is a ton. We have seen it behind the scenes at OA Cheddar. It is so easy to get ripped off in the online arbitrage lead space. One, service providers, leadless service providers that aren't doing their due diligence and making sure that the leads that their team provides them are organically sourced and not just copied or shared amongst other people, other virtual assistants doing online arbitrage. Not all lead lists are equal. And just because a lead list is providing you a lot of leads for a cheap price, that does not mean that they're good. That does not mean that the leads came organically. I can tell you that our cost of operations is higher than probably every other lead list service out there, because we invest money into systems, and personnel to make sure that the people we hire do organic work. Okay. I can't express, and we just purged a new hire. Okay. We call them new hires. They come in and we watch them like hawks, because for every 3 people I hire, one of them most likely, out of every 5 people we hire, we might keep 1. Okay. I'll tell you that we might keep 1 on our team just because they actually do authentic work. We can confirm that, and that they're good at their job. Okay. But to find those 2 combinations in a virtual assistant doing online arbitrage, very difficult, because you might find someone who can deliver a lot of leads, but they're just stealing that data from either a subscription list or from a community of other people doing online arbitrage. That's it. Okay. And you can see it. So if you're watching what they're doing, you're monitoring their work, you're reviewing their leads, you're paying attention to how they perform over time. There's so many clues, but it takes personnel and systems and time to really invest into making sure that the data that OA Cheddar delivers is as authentic and organic as we can possibly make it. Now, there is no such thing as lead exclusivity in this space, because we just saw it. Okay. Some leadless provider dropped the OA Spice freshener collection stuff, the Old Spice freshener collection stuff, right, from Walgreens. Walgreens is a very popular source. There's a coupon code. People are running TA scans. There's thousands of lead generators out there doing this work, and they're storefront stocking the crap out of your store. So if you buy it, ship it into Amazon, or list it as a merchant fulfill, it's only a matter of time before somebody picks up your store, scrapes it, or manually sources it and reverse engineers it into Google, finds it on Walgreens, and puts it on a list somewhere. Okay. Or sells it to their employer. The other thing that you'll find is a virtual assistant might do organic work for you. They might actually be really good at doing like authentic online arbitrage lead generation. Hard to come by. I promise you, it's difficult to find someone who can actually do the work. But they are employed by not just you, but a variety of people. So if you're not monitoring what they're doing, and those people aren't monitoring what they're doing the work once and then selling it 5 or 6 times. And of those 5 or 6 times that they sell that data, 1 or 2 or 3 of those could be a leadless provider who's not doing the due diligence to make sure that the leads that they sell are as organic and authentic as possible. Organically generated leads. That is the direction that OA Cheddar has always been going in, because I've been obsessed. And Taylor, we used to butt heads on this, and even Gabe and I butt heads, but I personally, I can tell you, and I'm passionate about this, obsessed with making sure that the product that I deliver, my team curated themselves, right? And they didn't share with other people. That's why they are under contract, of which they could face serious financial loss if I were to litigate against them, if I found out that they were working for somebody else. We have fired people who have worked with us, who at a time later, they just went rogue and secretly started working with somebody else. And then 2 months into it, we figured it out. Right. And fired them. And this is a lead generator I'm talking of, right? Who had been with us for a while and could pump out 10 leads that we were delivering a day. Wouldn't everybody love to have someone who could pump out? But I'm firing people like that all the time. I'm not, but we are. We're finding them, and we're purging them from our systems on a regular basis. Mostly people that we're testing out. It rarely ever happens to someone who's been with us for a period of time, because we've developed a relationship, we've built trust, they're under contract, they're not willing to take that risk and stuff like that. And if they've been with us for quite a period of time, they're usually getting paid pretty well, because they've gotten pretty good at their job, and that's why they're still here. We segment our data. Like there's very few people on our lead generation virtual assistants that see all of the data. Very few. The majority of them only ever see their own data. They're not connected to all the data that's being delivered by all of our other workers. So again, we create all of these layers to make sure that our data is unique. However, again, there's no such thing as exclusivity. The Old Spice freshener got delivered on some other list. One of my team members reverse engineered or storefront stocked somebody. You can see all the suppliers on there. All that means is now there's 30 storefronts that have that in their store that can possibly be storefront stocked and reverse searched, and and somebody else finds it. And then it just becomes a total mess. That's why offer count's important, and seeing that go on. Anyway, that was a rant.
Yeah. I mean,
OA Cheddar is the best source for online arbitrage leads, because we've made sure it is.
Yep. Yep.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating to see these other providers out there who are making way less revenue. And I know I'm looking at them and I'm going, they cannot make money at that revenue per list and do the work that I do to make sure that their leads are authentic and organic. They can't, because they're making too few of dollars. They can't afford it. That's why we have to make, if you guys do the math, right? 55, why we have 55 subscriptions at 149? It's $8,000. Most of that gets spent on overhead, the vast majority of it, like way more than you probably think. We're not getting rich over here. A lot of that goes into hiring good people. Taylor, Cindy, Mary Jo, Devin, Charles, Rubia, Carissa, all these really amazing people, our top lead gens, myself, Gabe,
yeah, we joke around it about it all the time. It'd be nice to be ignorant to these things, right? If we were just ignorant and we didn't know, like, hey, thanks for the leads, don't ask no questions, don't tell me anything. Like, it would be great to do that, but we can't, right? And we have systems in place. We check every team member. Doesn't matter if they've been with us since day one or they just got hired yesterday. We do routine audits on their work, and when we find stuff that's suspicious, we address it. And that means that sometimes we've had to let go of some of our best lead generators or some really great, potential lead generators. And that is, for us, completely worth it at the end of the day, right? Because we have our integrity and we can say confidently that we do our best to make sure everything is organically searched and stays within our system, right? And when we find any sniffing or any evidence of the latter, we do what we need to do to protect the listing and the integrity of our leads. So, Grant, I don't want to rush you, but we want to stick this to an hour. We're already 9 minutes over. Let's crush out these last 3 leads, and then we can go to the after show and take any questions and discuss some other topics like strategies, repricing, things like that.
I actually think we're late enough into the call, so I'm gonna just do one more real quick. Do you have any personal reference or preference of which one of these I open up?
No.
Okay, let's go with the lowest. Nah. I like the ROI on this one. It's pretty high and it's got the lowest BSR of the 3. So Let's open it up. CVS doesn't like us, but hopefully it likes you. Is this a source that's been kind of blocking people recently, or?
I'd be curious to see what others say about that. I've heard others who arbitrage CVS fine. We've always had a struggle with it. Here's the thing with CVS, if I'm not mistaken, I think Rite Aid is very similar to this. They ship from their retail stores. Okay. And if you don't have any retail stores near you, you might get your order canceled. That's where I've kind of landed with it, because we never really bought a ton from CVS, but there's not a CVS, anywhere close to us. And I don't think anywhere close to our prep center, because our prep center is kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
So I wonder if that's it. But if you're, if you have success with CVS, let us know. If you don't, let us know. But yeah.
Yeah, this product looks like a match. I'm told that we can buy it for $6 a piece. So without referencing that or, confirming that, we'll put that in the calculator. ROI looks good, 83% and a $5 profit. Low, relatively competitive, BSR. It's not crazy high. It's not super low either. I can see that Amazon is a threat, which kind of makes me a little nervous that Amazon could come back in and sell it for about what I can buy it for. And I'm sure at $6, there's pretty much, no meat on the bone. You can see that they weren't in stock on it for quite a period of time, and then came in on it in 2020, which is interesting because of all the things that Amazon couldn't sell in 2020, they happen to be able to sell this one. It's kind of funny. But now they're out of stock.
Amazon has their own rule book, buddy. Come on.
Oh yeah, that's that. Well, it's just like where this is like one of the products I guess they could find, during the COVID stuff. But anyway, but I do like that it's been out of stock for the last 90 days, right? So I would definitely probably grab some of these. The BSR, the velocity looks low enough. I like to see the offer count moving. The review count doesn't really seem to be changed. Yeah, it is. Actually, it is. It's just so 3,959, 4,000. Okay. So it is definitely selling, no doubt about it. We can go and look at data real quick, look at offers, get rid of the used. That wouldn't even be relevant. Look at the last 30 days. I think I need to resort this
So,
here.
so here's the thing. Yeah, when you're there, we go. I was gonna say when you're looking at historical date offers, it shows you everything. So when you're looking at 2,000 plus day old listing, you're getting a ton of results. But yeah,
So, but it does, I think it does save because I think I had it. I think that's the nice thing is it does kind of save whatever your last sorting was, I believe. I think the reason it was all cattywampus is because I had it sorted by review count earlier. So 81 sales according to this or offer count drops. Again, this is why I don't like looking at like this type of thing, this 35-1. That doesn't mean anything to me. Just because the offer counts are going up doesn't mean that he's not making sales here. It could just mean that as he sells two, 4 of them are activated because they've been picked up by the fulfillment center that they were transferred to, or whatever other possibility there is. Maybe they make sales on a different platform. That could even be another indicator of why the drops are. These sales could literally be sales on eBay, and he's doing multi-channel fulfillment. So again, this data only means it's only giving us a picture.
Well, and that should be something we talk about too. The way Keepa works is you download the extension and put it on your browser, and when you open up an Amazon listing, Keepa is snapshotting all the public data that Amazon offers, and then they save it in their database and combine everything, and that's how you get your graphs. Now, what does that mean? It means that you might see changes in stocks that are bigger drops. There's also something I recently learned by talking to Nick over at Ace and Zen, who, by the way, guys, Ace and Zen, AZ Insight, fantastic tool. Nick and his team are so determined in making sure that their data is correct. Talking to him for a little bit and just having him share his feelings as far as what, how they do things really gave me a ton of confidence in what they're doing over there. So if you're looking for a profit calculator, AZ Insight is fantastic. Our whole team has actually switched over to it. But the Keepa stock stuff, right? How do you get an accurate stock count? And something he shared with me that I didn't really realize was that Amazon will show you different levels of stock for different offers depending on your physical location. Because if you want to go buy 10 of something, they want you to buy the 10 from the offer that is closest to your physical location, right? And so you may see stock levels a little bit lower for some sellers depending on your location. If you're using a VPN, they actually scramble some of that data, so it's not accurate. That's why sometimes you might see offers that have 1,000, units in stock, and then it drops down to like 20. So there's a lot. So all that to be said, Keepa is a fantastic tool. The data on it is, for the most part, pretty darn reliable. But there are certain parts where it's not perfect, right? And so you might see some wonky things every once in a while. And again, this is where test buying comes in huge, right? You might be looking at this item and with Amazon being a threat in the last year, this isn't something that you should go 20, 30, 40 units deep in, but this is something that you might want to test out and buy 5 or 10 and maybe buy another round of 5 or 10, in a month or two and drip it into inventory, right? Because what happens is if you buy 40 and Amazon comes back in on a listing, you're kind of screwed. But if you only have 5 units in stock and Amazon comes back on the listing, not nearly in the same boat. So always be test buying. It's the biggest piece of advice I think that anyone could give you is just always do a test buy before you ever, dive in deep onto a product.
I just want to point out the hypocrisy of Amazon with the buy box here, right? You'll notice it doesn't matter what they're selling it at. It's buy box eligible at 2180, but it's not when third-party sellers want to sell it at 1789. I don't know. Interesting how that works. Cool. Yeah. So I like this product. I like the velocity and all that stuff. It seems to be a match. So that's cool. And yeah, I think another thing I would say is if I was about to buy these, I tend to get somewhere else, I might actually just do it this way. But I like to run Rev ROI. That's weird. Wait, that's weird. What just happened here? Yeah, that's weird. I don't know how I came out to that, but let's go to CVS. Opening a new oh, it's opening the image. Odd. Okay, well, let's just click on that. Rev ROI has been cool. I've been actually, using, this isn't a good example of it, but I've been using Retail Me Not a couple of times because the cashback is better than Top Cashback or Rakuten, which that's always been kind of our go-to. So I'm starting to kind of explore personally some other cashback sources to try to capture a couple extra bucks. Another thing I'd tell you too is and I've always been an Amex fan, never really cared to do anything else. But I went and applied for, the Chase Inc. card. It gives you 2% cash back. Here it is, right? The business card. I think this yeah. So nice thing about it is, yeah, I'm going to double I need to actually start using it. I'm still, change is not easy, but I need to start actually using it. But doubling the credit card points than what I'm seeing with the Amex. And if you think about spending for us, we're going to spend hopefully close to $1 million. We'll see. We're gonna spend as close to $1 million as we can this year on inventory, and 2% of that is a significant little nugget. I think that comes about 20 grand. So
Absolutely.
10 versus 20. Pick. So I think I'm done, Taylor. I'm going to stop sharing and we can kind of close out the call from here. Hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. I know a lot of folks were saying that they were finding this helpful. So that's good. Grant and I were talking about wanting to do this more often, come out and just start going through leads with you guys and just sharing our thoughts, getting your guys' feedback. It would be cool, even if we had some people we pulled out as panelists, to be able to share their insights of how they view a listing, see if it differs from ours. Of course, this is just our opinion. Okay. I would say it's our expert opinion. We've been doing this for quite some time now. Okay. We've looked at, gosh, Grant, if I had a guess on how many leads I've looked at in my lifetime, it would have to be getting close to the 6-digit mark. Easily, probably.
I mean, we've delivered well over, right? Haven't we delivered
well over six? Yep. So yeah,
I bet you
guess
looked at way over a year,
since 2018. Gosh, I think we've delivered 170 something thousand leads. So yeah, no, I've looked at it, and then you add in the retail arbitrage. My goodness, I might actually be close to over 250,000 leads that are products I've looked at. Keep grass. That's not even to mention the stuff that we reject or that we don't buy. My goodness.
Oh man,
it's okay. Well, that's a sad thought. We don't want to think about those thoughts, I guess. But anyway, getting back to it. Again, this is our opinion. This is from experience. But I don't think any of us would ever be so vain to say that we know exactly everything about Amazon. We are the only experts. We are definitely, we make mistakes. We learn things. So if you ever feel like you want to come back and give us some feedback or hop out on a call and share your insights and prove us wrong, please do so. Is Smart Data a ASIN replan management system? Yes, it is. Smart Data is a database for your leads. This is where you can manage your leads, classify your leads into different folders using tags. Okay. Makes it really easy to go back and look at your old lead data. I was actually talking to Chris Grant yesterday, and he was saying how he loves Cheddar Soft. He's been using it a ton. He was looking at an item, a certain brand. He said, you know what? I'm going to take this brand name. I'm going to search it in my Cheddar Soft account. And sure enough, he took one lead and ended up buying 6 leads based off of that from that brand, all because he was able to do it quickly using Cheddar Soft. It is also an order management tool. So whether you are, individual or you are working with a team, it stores your leads, helps you source your old leads as well as your most current leads, and then quickly and efficiently record all of the orders that you place so you can turn around and reconcile your inventory, whether it's being sent to FBA, back for a refund to the supplier. Okay. It helps keep your online arbitrage business organized. Okay. And it also sets up simple to use systems and processes that you can implement into a team. So go check it out. We actually just pushed a huge update over today. I'm really excited about it. Multiple buy lists. Grant and I are going to be taking our buys, and when we find something that we really like, we're going to be planning out our buying for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and maximizing those really good leads that we find and making it easier for us to spend our budget. I'm going to take a couple more questions, actually, since we have them in chat before we wrap up the call. Do your VA source manually or using TA? Thanks. Great question. We actually recently have gotten rid of TA for our team. And in the beginning, back in the previous years, we were using tactical arbitrage to find leads like anybody else did. But over these years, our team has actually given us the feedback that they find better and more results doing manual sourcing. Tactical arbitrage was getting a little bit difficult to manage, so many accounts with a team. And so we surveyed our team and they said, hey, you can go ahead and get rid of it. We're doing fine with manually sourcing. So I can say that the vast majority of our leads, other than maybe a couple of people in our team who are wizards with TA and are able to find great results, are manually sourced leads. So next question. Oh, sorry, Grant.
I was just going to say we're down to like, I think 8 to 10 TA accounts.
8 to 10 TA accounts. And they intermix it too, though. That's not their only sole, source.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another source of data for them. But I think they just, we found that spending too much time and going through the results as opposed to just manually sourcing comes out with more stuff.
And then this question is a good one. What suggestions do you have on other ways to use your leads other than buying the exact ASINs? So first suggestion I have, rabbit trail. Use our leads as a starting out point. Okay. They're going to open you up to different brands, different source websites. Okay. For that you can turn around and source off of, but look for the different variations, look for the different sizes, right? Look at, if you find a brand that you've never heard of before, go search them on Amazon, see what other products that they have, and rabbit trail those leads that we provide to you. We have users and customers who that's all they do. They have one lead list, they rabbit trail from that lead list, and they were able to run, very successful stores using that method. And the other suggestion I would have is go through your old lead data. We have a lot of users who actually don't buy the fresh stuff. They just go back through their old stuff, and they might be looking at stuff that was 30 days old, 30 to 60 days old, and they're going through all of those leads and seeing, okay, hey, what's still working? What has already taken the price hit from all the competition, and what is becoming profitable again? And they're buying those. Now we buy the ASINs that are off the list, the fresh leads. I do that every single day. And then Grant's been working more on rabbit trailing and going back into our old lead data and pulling out results. And that's been very successful. I will say we're spending more money than we have in the past. And I handle the fresh stuff. Grant handles the old data, and it's so far been a great system.
We didn't have any examples. Oh, go ahead. We didn't have any examples today, but clothing and shoes is the first thing I think of. It's super easy. Use the variation viewer on Keepa. On a future video, we'll have some examples of that, but you can go look up like Keepa variation viewer on YouTube and find all kinds of content, or even rabbit trailing online arbitrage leads. I'm sure there's content specifically about that. There's a bunch of videos from Flips for Miles, Flips for the number 4 Miles, Miles. His name is Miles. There's also a guy named Fields of Profit. They have a bunch of I can't remember Fields of Profit's name. I think it starts with a W, but anyway, they have a bunch of videos on YouTube amongst other sellers that they're using SellerAmp SAS, which I found that's how you say it, is SAS. I can't remember. There's an acronym for it, but that they made up. And so they're using that to manually storefront stock sellers on Amazon. So if you have a good lead, that's a thing. And I actually just listened to a call. Go listen to Christopher Grant, Clear the Shelf podcast, and search his podcast with the word online arbitrage in it. And he'll talk a little bit about rabbit trailing and some of the ways that he's done that. In fact, oh man, I wish I could find that episode real fast, but yeah, just go do that. And you'll find some more ideas on that. But, again, what brands are you being exposed to? What sources are you being exposed to? If this item is on sale, are there other items under the same brand that are also on sale? And what sellers accounts on Amazon are you being exposed to? And then you can, go look at their storefront and reverse storefront stock their store. Use Google, and stuff like that. It takes time. That's where, hiring virtual assistants you can trust and having good systems in place. I think that there's so little education, and it's the world's fault, right? I could go educate people on how to hire virtual assistants and secure them. But I think it's just do it very carefully and make sure that they're just yours, and that they're focused on you and that they're doing organic work. Otherwise, I feel like you're just paying them to do something that they're being paid to do by multiple people.
There's a great video on our YouTube channel. If you look for the guy in the wig with the leather vest, that we actually go over like how some of our systems and how with our team and how we manage them internally and protect our data. So go check that out. If you're looking at hiring a VA for the first time, you'll get some good, helpful tips out of that as well. Gosh, you said something and it made me have a thought, and it just flew away from me. So I guess we'll move on to the next question. Does Smart Data keep track of your leads that were bought after you delete and close a listing on Amazon? So if I am reading your question correctly, if I delete a listing on Amazon, does it delete it out of my Smart Data account? And the answer to that is no. Cheddarsoft, Smart Data, same thing. There, it is its own unique system. It's not connected currently to your Amazon store. So the leads that you upload into it are there forever unless you delete them from the app itself. It has nothing to do with your Amazon store. It is your database. You control everything that goes along with it. And then last question. Do you have any lead list that is better suited for using a prep center? These ships
versus me shipping the
units from home to Amazon fulfillment centers. So I actually use a prep center for all of our leads. Okay. We don't ship anything to our own house and ship to Amazon. We might be doing some, we want to do some more merchant fulfilling. We're moving towards that direction. The best advice I have, if you're using a prep center, to understand your prep center fees and how much it costs you, and determine a net profit amount that you need to be looking at to be able to be profitable. So for us personally, when I look at all of our leads, I go into Cheddarsoft and I actually filter out all the results that don't make at least a $6.50 profit. I'll even go as low as $6, right? Depending on how fast the lead is selling, and I'll take a smaller amount of profit. But do that and then source within that range, right? And then anything that's less than that net profit amount that you need to make to be profitable using a prep center, you can always have shipped to your house. You ship it in Amazon yourself, and you're not paying anybody because you, the operator and owner of the business, is working for the business. So you're essentially working for yourself, basically working for free, so you can save yourself the cost on those smaller profit items. So I hope that makes sense and that answered your question. So
yeah, I mean, it's going to cost you money to ship stuff into Amazon, whether you do it, you pay an employee to do it, or you hire a prep center to do it. If you need money more than you need time, then do it yourself. Receive it, ship it into Amazon yourself, because you can pay yourself for that time. If you need time more than you need money, then outsource. And I've heard people, I used to argue that hiring a prepper shipper is a better, cost per item than a prep center. I think it depends. As soon as you move out of your garage, I think that a prep center ends up being more equitable.
Yep.
So if you're going to have somebody come and work for close to minimum wage out of your home because it's free essentially, then yeah, that would be cheaper than a prep center. But if you're not going to do that and you're going to try to go rent like a small warehouse or a shop or something, you might as well just do a prep center. No matter what, a prep center is not going to care about getting the stuff into Amazon accurately as much as you do. And so just be aware of that. You're probably going to get more negative feedbacks. You're probably going to get, it doesn't matter. I mean, we've tried two, and you're going to get more negative feedbacks. You're going to get more voice of the customer issues, and you're just going to have to be reconciling those as quickly as possible, because like I said, no one cares about your business as much as you do.
Yep. And if you're a newer seller too, you should be doing your own prep. You should experience what that job is, the types of different scenarios that you run into. It will greatly help you understand what your prep center is also going through, and also understand what you should expect from a prep center.
True.
As well. And frankly, we did our own prep, even doing 7-figure retail arbitrage and OA. And we did our own prep for all those years, and we learned a ton. And there's a lot of stuff that we sent back and didn't send to Amazon that we caught. And so, as a newer seller, your feedback is huge. Okay. You don't get nearly as much grace with Amazon as you do with somebody who's been selling for like 5+ years. Okay. So understand that you might be saving yourself the time and the work, to go with a prep center, but you also, like Grant said, you're trusting your inventory, your seller account to but somebody else's employees who probably don't care.
I
They're
mean,
just
why
working
would
their
they?
job. I mean,
No,
some do, some do. I want to like I like our prep center that we have now.
I do too.
Do they make mistakes? Sure. They're humans. They're going to make mistakes. Do they check everything as thoroughly as we do? Absolutely not. We were
But they're faster.
meticulous. They're much
They are
faster.
They're getting a
They're
lot
much
more done in a lot less time.
Yep. So there's give and takes with any way you do it, but I would say I think everyone should do a little prep for a season, whether it's 6 months to a couple of years, whatever it may be. You're going to learn a whole bunch about what that process looks like, and you'll be protecting yourself because you'll be way more thorough. So
There are 2 prep centers that we will recommend for now. Network Prep out of Oregon. He also has a warehouse in Texas, which is not tax free. But Oregon Network Prep is, and then also Proven Prep.
Also
are some friends of ours. We've done an interview with the guys from Proven Prep. You can find that on our YouTube channel and watch that. They care a lot. They're super good guys. And if I wasn't with Network Prep currently, I would be with Proven Prep.
Yep, 100%. We went down, took a look at their warehouse. They do things on a very high quality level. They're very smart with their systems and processes. So we can speak from experience. Network Prep is awesome. We've enjoyed working with them, and with Proven Prep, even though we've never been a customer of theirs, we would happily be one if we needed another prep center, or if we ever make a move, that will be the next prep center we move to for sure.
They've both come highly recommended. We've heard good things.
Yep.
Prior to going to Network Prep, we heard good things, and then since going to Network Prep, we've heard great things about Proven Prep. So they're both in Oregon too, so that's tax free.
Yeah. Well, perfect. Well, for all those who are watching the recording or on YouTube, thank you so much. If you stuck around to the very end, please like and subscribe. I need to ask that in the very beginning. Like, subscribe, comment on YouTube. It helps us out immensely. So we can't tell you how much we appreciate that. But for those who are watching the recording, you are missing the after show. So next time, make sure you join on the live where you can ask questions and spend a little bit more time with us. Other than that, we'll talk to you all later. See you guys on the next one. And I think we're out. Unless you want to say something, Grant.
Bye for now.
Bye for now, everyone.